Welcome back to the channel Nation of Glory, where legends rise, stories breathe, and the greatest journeys of human strength and determination come alive. Today, we bring you a story not only about Hollywood-level drama but about a man who built his name inside the world of sports entertainment, a world that blends athleticism, emotion, sacrifice, and showmanship like no other. This is the remarkable rise, struggle, evolution, and transformation of Paul Michael Levesque, the man the world knows simply as Triple H. A man who once stepped into the ring with nothing but a dream, and now stands as one of the most powerful and respected figures in the entire industry, a mastermind behind the creative direction of WWE, shaping the future of wrestling for generations to come. But the story of Triple H is not simply the story of a wrestler. It is the story of a visionary. It is the story of reinvention, ambition, heartbreak, and growth. It is the story of someone who refused to be defined by where he started, and instead carved a legacy so impactful that even people outside the wrestling world recognize his brilliance, discipline, passion, and leadership. Paul Levesque was born on July 27, 1969, in Nashua, New Hampshire, far from the massive arenas, pyrotechnics, flashing lights, and thunderous crowds he would one day command. He grew up like millions of other kids, fascinated by the spectacle of wrestling, by the characters, by the intensity, by the ability of performers to make you feel something without ever breaking the magic. Little did he know that he would one day become one of the greatest storytellers this world has ever seen. His fascination with wrestling began as a child watching heroes and villains battle on television. But interest alone doesn't build legends. What set Paul apart was his mindset. Even as a teenager, he wasn't drawn only to fame, he was driven by discipline. He admired the physiques of wrestlers and bodybuilders, realizing that greatness required physical and mental sacrifice. As he stepped into bodybuilding competitions in his teens, he developed a crucial skill: consistency. The kind of consistency that would one day push him through countless injuries, relentless travel schedules, pressure, creative challenges, and leadership responsibilities. But like every great story, the path to his destiny wasn't a straight line. He didn't have an easy ticket into wrestling. He had to train. He had to search. He had to prove that he wasn't just another fan dreaming too big. And that search led him to the legendary Killer Kowalski's Wrestling School in Massachusetts, one of the toughest training grounds in the country. Under Kowalski's guidance, Paul learned not only the art of wrestling but the psychology behind it. Wrestling wasn't just about moves, strength, or athleticism, it was about emotion. It was about telling a story with your body, your voice, your expressions, and your presence. It was about making people believe. And Paul absorbed every bit of that knowledge, sharpening himself into something far more sophisticated than a simple in-ring performer. He became a storyteller at heart. He debuted under the name Terra Rising, a young talent still figuring out who he was and who he wanted to be. But even then, you could sense ambition in him. You could see it in the way he carried himself, the way he thought, the way he planned. He wasn't content with just being good. He wanted to be great. He wanted to elevate every environment he walked into, and leave something better behind. After a run in WCW, Paul made the move that would change his life forever. He signed with WWE, then known as WWF. It was here he transformed into the character Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the aristocratic snob with the long ponytail and the perfect posture. And while the character drew heat from the crowd, something bigger was bubbling beneath the surface. WWE saw talent in him, but they hadn't yet tapped into his full potential. But Triple H wasn't one to wait for opportunities. He built them, he earned them, and he fought for them. And then, everything changed. With one faction, with 3 letters, with one movement that shook wrestling forever, D-Generation X. Alongside Shawn Michaels, Triple H stepped into a role that perfectly matched his natural charisma. Rebellious, entertaining, boundary-pushing, loud, sarcastic, fearless, and unforgettable. DX wasn't just a group, it was a cultural moment. It was a revolution. And Triple H was at the heart of it. Fans started seeing him differently. He wasn't just the aristocratic heel anymore. He was a voice, a leader, a performer with something special, a mix of danger, humor, confidence, and intelligence. The world was beginning to pay attention. But Triple H's journey was not just about rebellion and entertainment. It was also about leadership, evolution, and becoming the foundation of WWE's future. After Shawn Michaels stepped away from wrestling for a time due to injuries, Triple H took charge of DX, guiding it with his own style, proving to everyone backstage and in the audience that he was more than capable of carrying an era. What followed next was one of the greatest evolutions in wrestling history. Triple H transformed himself into the Game, a nickname that meant he wasn't just a player, he was the entire game itself. This wasn't arrogance. This was a declaration of skill, presence, and absolute mastery. He sculpted his body, sharpened his persona, refined his storytelling, and unleashed some of the most incredible performances in WWE history. He became a main event star. Not overnight, not through shortcuts, but through relentless work. His matches grew more intense, his promos more powerful, his character more layered. Fans didn't just boo him or cheer him, they felt him. They reacted to him because he made them believe every step of the way. Triple H rose to the top of WWE as one of the greatest heels in the company's history. Whether he was fighting The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mick Foley, Kurt Angle, or The Undertaker, he delivered classics because he never approached wrestling like a job. He approached it like art. And then came the era of Evolution, the faction that birthed new stars and defined another generation. Alongside Ric Flair, Randy Orton, and Batista, Triple H built a group that symbolized power, dominance, and legacy. And that legacy extended far beyond storylines. In real life, Triple H used Evolution as a platform to elevate fresh talent, giving them opportunities, guidance, and the spotlight they needed to succeed. This was the beginning of Triple H, the mentor. Behind the scenes, something else was happening that would change the course of WWE forever. Triple H fell in love with Stephanie McMahon, the daughter of WWE chairman Vince McMahon. Their relationship grew from a storyline into a genuine bond built on respect, trust, and shared passion for the wrestling business. Their marriage didn't just unite two people, it united paths, visions, and destinies. As Triple H matured in his career, his mind drifted more and more toward the future, toward the next generation, toward the creative side of wrestling, toward building something new. And that led to one of the most impactful contributions he ever made, the birth and growth of NXT. What started as a developmental system became a global phenomenon under Triple H's leadership. He turned NXT into a brand defined by creativity, athleticism, passion, and heart. Wrestlers from around the world, with different backgrounds, different styles, and different dreams, found a home in NXT, a place where storytelling mattered, where matches were crafted with care, where characters were built thoughtfully, and where fans fell in love with wrestling all over again. Triple H didn't just run NXT, he nurtured it. He believed in its roster. He spent long nights planning shows, crafting stories, mentoring talent, and building a culture of respect and excellence. NXT was proof that Triple H wasn't just a great wrestler, he was a visionary leader. But like every great journey, Triple H's life also faced challenges. One of the most unexpected and frightening moments came when he suffered a serious cardiac event in 2021. A condition so dangerous it could have taken his life. The man who spent decades pushing his body to the limit, surviving injuries, surgeries, intense matches, and physical punishment, suddenly faced something no amount of training could fight. He was forced to step back, to heal, to reflect, to breathe. That medical emergency changed everything. It marked the end of Triple H's in-ring career. And while the wrestling world felt the weight of that reality, Triple H approached it with the same strength that defined his entire life. He accepted it, he adapted, and he found a new beginning in leadership. Today, Triple H stands as WWE's chief content officer, the head of creative, and a driving force behind the company's evolution into a global entertainment phenomenon. He is the one shaping stories, guiding performers, elevating divisions, pushing women's wrestling forward, and building the next generation of stars. Many fans and wrestlers describe the current WWE era as the Triple H era, marked by compelling storytelling, stronger character development, and respect for in-ring talent. People trust him, not because of his name, but because of his work. Wrestlers admire him, fans appreciate him, and the industry recognizes him as a man who understands both the art and the business. Triple H's story is a story of reinvention. From bodybuilder to wrestler, from heel to legend, from performer to executive, from student to teacher, from dreamer to architect of an entire industry. His life teaches us that greatness is not born, it is built. Built with sweat, built with sacrifice, built with courage, built with mistakes, built with lessons, built with resilience. Triple H shows that leadership is not about standing above others, it is about lifting them up. It's about giving back to the craft that shaped you. It's about leaving the world of wrestling better than you found it. And that is exactly what he is doing. From Nashua, New Hampshire, to the grandest stage of them all, to the boardrooms shaping the future, Paul, Triple H, Levesque is a symbol of evolution, strength, vision, and passion. His journey isn't just a wrestling story, it is a human story. A Hollywood-worthy journey filled with emotion, adversity, triumph, and transformation. And his story is still being written. Thank you for joining us today on this powerful journey. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of Triple H and want more inspiring stories of legends, icons, and game changers, don't forget to subscribe to the channel Nation of Glory. Leave a like, share this video with someone who loves these incredible stories, and stay tuned for more. Thank you for watching. And as always, stay legendary.